The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
That has been adopted by.
Who are the good guys in the Israel-Hamas war, Ms. Banky?
When we adopt policy.
No, that wasn't my question. I just asked you a new question. Who are the good guys in the Israel-Hamas war?
I have nothing to add other than we adopted policy.
Simple question. Israel's our ally, one of our best friends. They were attacked on October 7th. One of these statements that was withdrawn by the ABA came out on October 9th, 2 days after women and children were killed and raped and taken hostage, villages destroyed. Israel's fighting a terrorist organization. I'm asking you a simple question. Who are the good guys, Israel or the terrorist organization?
The ABA adopted policy, and when the ABA adopts policy, then statements are issued, and those are the decisions that
I'm not asking about the statements right now. Forget the statements for a second. I'm asking you a simple question. Who do you want to win, Israel or the terrorist organization?
I have nothing further to add. My personal opinion is not relevant. I am here as the president of the American Bar Association.
You took statements down, statements that were issued 2 days after Israel was attacked. The statements were taken down because they were deeply flawed, because they suggested Israel was guilty of war crimes. That was ridiculous, and you took those statements down. Now I'm asking you, as the head of the Bar Association, who are the good guys in this conflict? Our friend and ally, Israel, or the terrorist organization Hamas? This is not a trick question. It's actually a simple question.
I have nothing further to add.
You won't answer.
Yes, my friend, she wouldn't answer. That woman, Michelle Banky, is the president of the American Bar Association. The American Bar Association in this nation used to be one of the standards, for lack of a better words, involved in the accreditation of law schools. Also, people used to cite them all the time when Supreme Court justices were nominated. They are a total, apparently, left-wing organization. Testimony today you're hearing from the president, Michelle Banky. And she doubled down on something else, on the American Bar Association, which is supposed to represent the law, the Bar Association. Asked about DEI. And her remarks about DEI were just as insidious as her remarks or refusal to answer basic questions about Israel and Hamas. That's cut 12, Carlos. Let's play that right now, shall we?
The ABA is deeply committed to fostering a justice system that everyone in America can have access to and confidence in. When our practice is open and inclusive and unbiased, we attract a wider range of talent and perspectives. Diversity and excellence are not mutually exclusive. In fact, the opposite is true. Diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives enhance merit within the legal profession. When we have diverse teams, our profession is stronger. It enhances our ability to solve our clients' problems. When we can tap into the varied experiences and perspectives of people from every background and every community.
Now, I am not opposed to having diverse people involved in anything. In fact, some people would consider me diverse. I don't consider myself diverse. I'm just me. But when people look at superficial things like skin color, how many do you have? Do you have enough women? Do you have enough this? Do you have enough that? And you're relegated to being in a group. That's what the way that DEI has been interpreted in many businesses. We have to make sure that we represent some imaginary scheme of what makes it perfect to make sure that we're including everybody. But the way that it works out in practice is something altogether different. When you look to fill positions not based on merit, but based on these conditions, it's a problem. And so these words sound nice. But the word that was missing throughout all of this was merit. Merit. We're an organization. I'd never heard her say the ABA represents an organization that believes in merit, that people should rise to the best level that they can through their merit, through what they do, not the color of their skin, not any other factor, from their merit. How good are you? When you have a lawyer, you don't, when you look for a lawyer, are you more concerned with whether that lawyer is a certain shade? How much melanin? The other day I said melatonin. How much melanin that content is in that? Are you concerned about that? Whether they meet gender requirements, or do you want the best lawyer that you can find to argue on your behalf? Or if you are prosecuting someone, or you're looking to argue your case, do you want the best? And that seems to be something that's missing in all this discussion anyway. Before we move on to other things today, by the way, this is Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour, fastest hour in American media. Before we move on to other things, I just want to go back to Jim Jordan, because Jim Jordan repeated something that he said often, and it's on the subject of immigration, and he said it, and I want to replay it because it is worth playing. He, by the way, took her to school. We also have Brandon Gill in the lineup today, and there are so many others. This week has been an incredible week if you watch congressional hearings, which most people don't do because they're busy with their lives. But we had two major hearings, in my view, that deal with culture. One was this ABA, the American Bar Association President Michelle Benke, and the other was dealing with the Smithsonian Museums. And I'll tell you what, you hear a lot of criticism about Donald Trump. Republicans, they're trying to wipe out history. They're trying to do this. They're trying to do that. They're racist. They're trying to take out things that white racists feel uncomfortable with. When you actually listen to the hearing, what you hear is what the Smithsonian Museum and the American Museum of Natural History has been doing. And it is stunning what has gone on in that institution. Thank you. Countess of Conspiracy just texted me. She's glad I finally got her. She's the one that corrected me when I said melatonin instead of melanin. I remembered it. Thank you, Countess. A few weeks ago. Anyway, before we do that, let's get this Jim Jordan piece, because it deals with, he lays out the 3-step with Democrats and immigration. Cut 10, Ohio Representative Jim Jordan.
They want to take the message away from what they've done. And I've said this in many hearings. I'll continue to say it. Step 1, let in 10 million illegal migrants.
11 million.
In the Biden administration. Have no border. Step 2, create sanctuary jurisdictions, which makes it difficult to remove those illegal migrants when they commit another crime. And then step 3, don't pay the guys, don't fund the guys who do the removing. They shut down the government twice, two longest shutdowns in history, because they didn't want to pay ICE agents, didn't want to pay federal law enforcement to do their job. 18 cities, 11 states, 3 counties, and the District of Columbia are sanctuary jurisdictions. That represents almost a third of the country, where the politicians tell local law enforcement, don't work with federal law enforcement when it comes to enforcing federal law.
A third of the country under sanctuary, where they protect illegal immigrants. And Jordan, he said 10 million. My sources say 11 million. What's 1 million or 2? On top of the 30 million that are already here illegally. And a third of America is sanctuary under Democrat rule, where they don't want the illegals to go. Now, that goes into elections. It has everything to do with our elections and representatives and the like. We have more on elections today. This is important, and you're not going to see it covered, I predict. I can make a prediction that this will not be front and center on any of the alleged centers of journalism in America tonight on television. Be it ABC Television Network, be it CBS Television Network with their news, be it NBC and their news. I predict you won't see it. John Solomon had a chat with the people, the software company, regarding New Jersey's alleged glitch. You remember the governor of New Jersey, Mickey Sherrill. Mickey Sherrill. I'm halfway there. Wait. It's Mikey Sherrill. I keep calling her Mickey Sherrill because that's the way her name looks. Mikey Sherrill. Governor rolled out the other day and said that it was a software glitch. It was a software glitch that caused 6,600 non-citizens to be registered to vote. The software made a mistake. And 400 of them voted. And now liberals are trying to claim after all this talk about it never happens, it never happens, it never happens. It happened. And we know, some of us believe, I should say rather than know, that it is a lot more widespread and this is just tip of the iceberg. Anyway, John Solomon, just the news. Cut 6. He reached out to the software company. Listen to what John Solomon has to say. That would be cut 6 about the claims being made. Oh, it was a software problem.
Let's get down to the glitch. That was the excuse we were given for why 6,600 non-citizens, i.e. foreigners, made it onto New Jersey's voter rolls, and approximately 400 of them actually voted. That's the single largest concentration of foreigners ever known to vote in an election. The New Jersey governor, Mikey Sherrill, a Democrat, came out yesterday and said, oh, I know I picked on Donald Trump on Thursday night saying I didn't believe his speech, but we do have 6,600 non-citizens confirmed on the voter rolls. I actually knew this last week, and it was really the software vendor. It's a glitch. Well, overnight, the software vendor, who ironically is based in France. Think about that. We have a foreign national company managing part of our election infrastructure in New Jersey. They came out and said, not so fast, Governor. It isn't our glitch. We pass the data to you. You decide if they're supposed to be voting. You let these foreigners onto your, meaning New Jersey, you let these foreigners onto your voter rolls and onto your ability to vote in elections. 400 of them did that. So they're calling bunk on their own customer, which is pretty remarkable. I think we're going to find this dynamic in many, many states. I think the reason why the Democrats lost their mind on Thursday night with the president's very specific, very detailed, and by the way, fully vetted by all 5 of the intelligence agencies' speech. All 5 of the intelligence agencies checked every word, is that the 3 heels of their strategy is starting to fall apart. They like to get non-citizens on the voter rolls. They like to have dirty voter rolls. They proved that by fighting to keep them dirty. 2, they've known for some time, they were bragging about it and raising concerns in 19, then they let it go, that our election machines have vulnerabilities that a foreign power hasn't yet, but could exploit. And then 3rd, they do not like any sense of hardening the system. They want to keep the system soft and mushy, and Donald Trump is threatening that by pushing the Save America Act.
So there you go. Oh, yeah, it was a glitch. No, my friends, it wasn't a glitch. It wasn't a glitch. On this day in 2008, Kid Rock was sentenced to a year on probation and fined $1,000. Why? Because he had a fight in Atlanta Waffle House the year before. 80 hours of community service, 6 hours of anger management counseling. 4 other assault charges dropped. He was had been performing at a gig in Atlanta. They stopped off on the tour bus. An argument broke out with another customer at the restaurant, the Waffle House in Yow. I love Kid Rock, just so you know. James Golden, Snerdley. We're coming right back. Keep it right here. Do not go away.
Perpetrators of war crimes and crimes against humanity accountable.
Well, here's how I reconcile it. We're not members of the ICC. We never signed that treaty. We never joined it. And they somehow claim that they have a right, nonetheless, to go after non-treaty members and put heads of state and others in jail. We've long had quarrels with them, and we have lunatics and crazies involved in the ICC that are talking about charging members of the U.S. military, maybe even the president or a future president, with crimes. And it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. We are not members of that court. We never signed on to that treaty. They need to understand that. If people want to sign on and be a part of that stupid organization, they can. But we're not going to be a part of it, and they're not going to apply their jurisdiction to Americans. That's just not going to happen. We're not going to tolerate it now or in the future. And we've warned them about it repeatedly. And now they're going to see the consequences of ignoring us.
Boom. That was Marco Rubio. And Marco Rubio, Secretary of State of these United States of America, was on fire at a presser after the meeting over in the Philippines. We have some more from Marco Rubio, including his thoughts on Iran. And he made some really interesting points about Iran. You'll hear from that. We also, my friends, if we have time, we'll get to Larry Kudlow, was on fire himself. So we got a lot to do. And there are some news stories that I have to hit. So, yes, it was just suggested to me, Lady Benedict, that I think about Cheryl Lynn every time I'm trying to remember Sherelle. Cheryl, Governor Cheryl. Just think of Cheryl Lynn and Got to Be Real. I'll try. This is so slamming. You know what? It's all so real. James Golden, Snerdley with you here. They were singing about TikTok all that long ago. Good grief. 1970. TikTok, get up. Sam Waters was born from the group Color Me Bad. This one went to number 1. Across the pond, too. I Want to Sex You Up is the title. For some reason, it just took off like lightning. Also, what, you got something else for me? Isn't this those girls? Yeah. Whatever happened to her? Michelle Williams has a birthday today. If I had asked you who Michelle Williams were and you weren't looking at it, would you know? You would have no idea who she was.
I would.
Huh?
En Vogue.
What?
En Vogue.
You said she's with En Vogue.
Used to be. That's one Michelle Williams.
Destiny's Child.
It's another Michelle. There's a lot of Michelle Williams.
There's a lot of Michelle Williams. Everybody knows who's singing lead on this.
Yeah.
What happened to the other two?
I know who Kelly Rowland is, but I have no idea who Michelle Williams is.
And who's Kelly Rowland?
Oh, Kelly
she was
Rowland's
the
other one. Is the third one.
She was the other child in Destiny.
The second most famous one.
The second most famous one. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Beyonce and Destiny's children. Before I move on to other things, I just want to go back to this voting, this so-called glitch. The company, as you heard, Just the News, John Solomon talk about, no, it wasn't us. We have a story today in the Daily BS about it. They said the 6,000, they released the company spokesperson, Lisa Shoemaker, for the French company that deals with our American election software. Like, we don't have we have the biggest technological companies in the world here in the United States, and yet we're getting software from the rest of the world for our elections. Somebody make sense of that, please. Please. Anyway, the company spokesperson, Lisa Shoemaker, said the 6,600 records submitted to the MVC and the Division of Elections contained correct information according to the design specifications they got from the state of New Jersey. All 6,600 individuals indicated yes to wanting to register to vote. 6,600 foreigners, non-citizens, said, yes, I want to vote, and no, I'm not an American citizen, which is interesting. At no point, the company said, was a non-citizen ever marked as a citizen in the database that New Jersey had of their voter rolls. At no point did that happen. Meanwhile, Josh Gottenheimer, who's a Democrat from New Jersey, has called for a government-wide review of IMedia's federal contracts, arguing the company should face additional scrutiny if its technology contributed to registration failures. How about scrutiny goes to the Democrat administration and figure out how this happened on that end? How about that, Josh? Which reminds me, Geraldo Rivera is out, what does he say? That Trump has made liars of the entire Republican Party because everybody's too afraid to say that who won the 2020 election. What a non-starter. According to the election results that were certified, Joe Biden won. Who's afraid to say that? Now, the issue is not what the certified election results said. The issue is, were the certified results accurate? And that has always been the issue. Were they accurate? We know who won based on the certifications. Were they accurate? Is the question, and has been the question. I talked about the Smithsonian. We're going to get to this on the weekend. I'm holding a lot of that to talk with Princess Diana about if she and I have time to talk about it. Because what has happened at the Smithsonian is just disgraceful. In fact, there's a story today from Fox. Shocking Ben Franklin smear leaves Smithsonian chief with no regrets. And one of the things that they have, without, as they say, liberals love to say this, without any evidence, they have an exhibit about Ben Franklin, including a display that wonders if he ever did any of the experiments he's credited with. Whether he had ever done experiments, electric shock, on indentured servants or slaves. So they put that out there with no evidence whether Ben Franklin was using electric shock on slaves or indentured people. Nothing in history has said that that's the case. But that's in the museum. That's just one. It's just amazing. Boy, the way. Countess of Conspiracy, you'll be delighted to learn this, and many of you others. Anthony Fauci is set to testify next Wednesday, before the Senate. This one should be a don't miss. You know Rand Paul's got it. Let me see what committee he's supposed to be at before I say that. Yeah, he's supposed to be before the Senate Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee next week. That ought to be a can't miss. Jack Smith has been referred to from the Judiciary Committee for possible criminal prosecution for lying about the probe into Donald Trump. Jim Jordan, who we played earlier, made that criminal referral. Let us see what happens. John Thune, meanwhile, says, I don't have the votes. I can't count to 50. The votes aren't there to advance the House budget resolution that would pave the way for $95 billion reconciliation bill. Part of the reconciliation bill are features in the Save America Act. So, of course, this is what we're hearing from Thune. Not, I'm working hard to get the votes. Yes, sir.
Maybe he should be more like Jim Jordan, John Thune.
Oh, man, would that be something? With that. Speaking of which, glad you said that, Carlos. Larry Kudlow, we don't have time to play the full thing, but we're going to play much of it so you can hear the tone that our friend Larry Kudlow took with Senator Langford. Cut 14. It will speak for itself. Here you go.
I'm sorry you had to bear the brunt of that opening, but I'm telling you, right now, you, the leadership in both houses, are bungling everything, sir. I say that with all due respect, and we are personal friends. It's not, but you're bungling everything. Nothing is getting done. Your messaging is non-existent. You've lost your swag, your swagger, your riz, or whatever the young people say. No one knows what the heck you're doing, sir. They have no idea.
Yeah, you're welcome. And this is part of the challenge we've got with all of our media friends out there that continue to be able to beat up on Republicans and say Republicans are all the problem. But apparently the socialist Democrats in New York City, they seem to be perfect because most conservative media right now is beating up on Republicans and just ignoring the socialists who are running rampant all over the country. So I look back on what happened with the One Big Beautiful Bill. Look at the housing bill we just passed. There's a lot of things that are going on that are good, and I understand.
Nobody has attacked Mondami more than I have, for heaven's sake. That isn't the point.
I wasn't saying that just about you. I was saying
that isn't the point.
This is the challenge that we're up against right now.
What is it that your policy is? Senator Langford, my friend, what is your policy? Where are the tax cuts? Where are the spending cuts? Where's the waste, fraud, and corruption reduction? Where is all of that? Where is the reconciliation bill? Where's the straight talk and messaging for the midterms? Where's the growth messaging? Where's the we're going to make it better for taxpayers and working folks messaging? Come on, Senator.
Glad to be able to take it on, Larry. Glad, and again, you and I are friends. We've talked through all this stuff before. So let's just start with last year and what's coming out right now on all the tax policy. Obviously, tax rates didn't go up. We dealt with permanent expensing for all of our businesses in trying to be able to make sure they're growing. They're growing. The reason we're actually
and here we go with the Washington
right now,
blah blah
you
blah.
You are an expert
Folks,
on this. You know
this is all it sounds like to people. This is what they sound like. You remember that Charlie Brown thing? Wah, 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 wah. Wah, 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 wah. That's exactly what they sound like when he starts going through this crap. Here's what everybody wants to know. Where's the SAFE Act, pal? How come you people aren't doing more to rustle every single Democrat, Republican that you have, pull every lever that you can to make sure that you have the 50 votes, and you have to call in J.D. Vance to get 51 to get the SAFE Act through? How come you're not doing that? You hear this crummy response he had when Larry Kudlow, it's the conservative media's fault. They're beating up on Republicans. The only reason conservative media beats up on Republicans is because you damn Republicans that they do beat up on deserve it. For goodness sakes, If you were doing what you were sent to do, the conservative media would be very happy. And then he makes the idea, well, they're not picking on the Democrats. They're not saying anything about the Democrats. Give us a break. Every day, conservative media is on the case of the DSA and what the Democrats are doing. I mean, this guy, don't forget, folks, this guy Langford is one of the ones that got duped, totally 100% duped by the Democrats. He's one of the ones that came up with this what was going to be an amnesty for illegal immigrants during the Biden program. And then Democrats all ran around, oh, we had a bipartisan consensus. It would have let the border continue to be swamped with 5,000 new illegal immigrants legally okay to enter every single day. That was a bill that old Langford here came, and he was held up as some kind of hero because the Democrats duped him into thinking that somehow or another that was a good idea. That's the same guy now complaining that the conservative press is beating up on Republicans instead of going after Democrats. Got other stuff to do. Larry, great job. Let's go to cut 8. This is Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, who I still want to talk with one of these days.
I believe the most relevant ballot referenda question around receiving reparations for communities that experience that hardship, and whether that was on the west side of Chicago with a black man being placed in an illegal chokehold, or long guns being stuck into the faces of women and children, zip tied and thrown in vehicles, kidnapped, shot at. I mean, police officers, tear gas, right? And so the updated policy in the spirit of my executive order, there's stronger alignment to create a pathway for accountability.
What Brandon Johnson said, in case you missed that, and I still want to talk with Brandon Johnson. I'm still going to reach out and try to. There's something about this guy, I'm telling you. But he's basically saying that neighborhoods, communities need reparations from ICE. Oh, and don't forget reparations for black people because the black guy got put in a chokehold. Now, mind, all black people have been killed in Chicago. I guess they don't need reparations because they're dead. We didn't get to a lot of the Marco Rubio stuff that I wanted to get to, but there's always tomorrow because we got a clip of the day coming up. I'm looking at that, and I'm looking down the list of stuff that I want to get to as well. But we got to go to another break because we have clip of the day coming up, and we always want to be here for clip of the day. Oh, man, you talk about a song that has lasted. This song was made before I was born. Carlos looked like, how old is it? I saw that. He's like, what? There was a song made before the dinosaurs were extinct? Yes, it was. And today's the heavenly birthday of Cleveland Duncan from the Penguins. And this is still such a great song, isn't it, folks? Earth Angel, will you be mine? You know, Rhonda Schrock, America's Small Caffeinated Mom, sent me a note about the Langford thing. Good grief. My boys did that when they were toddlers. But look at what he did. Look at what he did. Yeah. And Princess Diana has weighed in too. The only thing we know about the Republican Senate is that they go on vacation all the damn time. Amen to that, Your Highness. My baby, Diana DeSantis. Just saying. Clip of the day is coming up, ladies and gentlemen. My Earth Angel, don't give away.
clip of the day. You want to hear it, it's the clip of the day.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time for the clip of the day. Now, we had twice this week the clip of the day, which was the first, that twice we had the same person on 2 consecutive days. That would be Jasmine Crockett, who we shall dearly miss when she departs Congress. Today, we have someone else that you know very well for the clip of the day. His affectionate name is Suppinhead. That name given to him by Rush Limbaugh. Suppinhead. We all know him as James Carville.
I'm going to read something to you, and I'm going to tell you why this is typical. A progressive House candidate who served in a battleground district in Michigan as law and Democratic Party officials once said black U.S. political leaders are a pillar of the capitalist and imperialist American establishment. Yeah. Jim Clyburn is part of that. Yeah, you're right. That's exactly who Martin Luther King was. Yeah, you're right. That's who John Lewis was. And these people are paternalistic, and it's a bunch of overeducated little white turds who think they know more than other people know, and they know what's wrong. And they're going to go and then you got, they're talking about indicting Netanyahu. And that the problem is you have a candidate, a DSA candidate, New York, saying we should be against interracial dating. Let me tell you something. These people, and these are to all my black friends and people like me, they think they know more than you do. They think their history is more glorious than yours. They think that Lenin was a more glorious human being than Martin Luther King or Frederick Douglass. That's what they really think. And if you know that, you don't know your history. And you should view these people with extreme skepticism, because they think they know what's better for you than you know what's better for you. And they think they know your history better than you know their history. This don't know what he's talking about.
There's a lot I could say about that, because the Democrats have been paternalistic forever. But we're out of time, ladies and gentlemen. All right, it's 2011 on this day. 27-year-old Amy Winehouse was found dead at her home in North London. Let me tell you something. What a waste. This woman rose so quickly because of her immense talent, and gone just as quickly, but remembered forever. Amy Winehouse. May God bless, protect each and every single one of you, your families, your loved ones. Love and gratitude, my friends, for your being here with me, allowing me to be with you. God willing, we're back tomorrow for the I Can't Believe It's Already Friday edition of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. Until then, I bid you adieu. Bye.